Hello everyone, this is G-Raf with Korea Indie Media. I'm doing struggle news for January 2010. On December 30th in the Yongsan struggle site, this is December 30th, 2009, and a new agreement was made between the government and the Yongsan Coalition. Part of that agreement actually met some demands of the Yongsan Coalition. One of those was to pay reparations to the Yongsan District for evictees. The Hankyoreh newspaper reported the reparations to be around 3.5 billion won. Part of those reparations are going to be used for a funeral. So part of the agreement was to hold a funeral for the 5 members of the National Evictee Alliance, the 5 evictees who were murdered by the government last January on January 20th, 2009. So the Yongsan Coalition immediately formed a funeral planning committee to plan a public funeral to be held this Saturday on January 9th. Some of the other promises that were made in the agreement was the Prime Minister, he promised to have the government put forth an effort to change the existing redevelopment program of the Seoul metropolitan government. So the demand made by the Yongsan Coalition was to change this redevelopment program from something that benefited private corporations to change it to something that benefits the public. You know, fix up some schools or do some development for some schools or some parks or things that are public, things that are shared by all of us, not things like huge corporations that only benefit some business owners and rich people. The Prime Minister promised to put forth an effort in order to change the existing redevelopment program. However, he did not specify what those changes are going to be, if they're going to take place, or anything like that. Another promise that was made was to provide a temporary location for the evictees to continue the work, have some little shops or businesses that they have had for the last years, and to provide the necessities in order to ensure the livelihood of the evictees. So what those necessities consist of, nobody knows yet. They haven't been announced. That information has not been made public. The government, the South Korean government, is afraid that announcing what those necessities that are going to be provided, announcing what those consist of, will cause some kind of uprising among other evictees in other districts and other areas and other regions of Seoul and in South Korea in general, because there are many evictees around Seoul and South Korea that haven't got anything. Haven't got any reparations, haven't got any kind of things that they need, like temporary location to continue work or to live, for shelter, or anything like that. So the South Korean government was afraid of people knowing about this and making the same demands. It would be nice if everyone did know about it, but the government is trying to cover up that information. So also, the Prime Minister did not give an apology, although the South Korean mainstream media here is describing it as an apology and describing it as the government accepting responsibility for the Yongsan Massacre, which happened on January 20th. Now, the Yongsan Massacre was when 27 evictees went up on top of the Namildang building and engaged in civil disobedience, had a demonstration up there in order to protest the forced eviction and the program of redevelopment that was ruining their lives. So when this happened, the Korean government sent the SWAT team over there, and the SWAT team ended up starting a big fire up on the top of the building, and 5 of the evictees were killed, and a member of the SWAT team was also killed. The Prime Minister basically expressed his so-called deepest personal regrets about the Yongsan Massacre, never issued a formal apology from the whole government. That's one of the demands of the Yongsan Coalition, but that was not issued. That formal apology and acceptance of responsibility from the government was not issued. However, the media is reporting that it was issued. Now, these agreements are also reported by the media to be a haegyeol. Haegyeol in Korean language, that means a solution to the Yongsan issue. This is not a solution. Everybody knows that this is not a solution, but because the mainstream corporate media has been reporting it as a solution, it's confusing everybody. But what it is, it's a compromise, because the family members of these evictees who were killed, the 5 evictees who were killed, they were refusing to hold a funeral for the evictees. So now the government is demanding that they hold a funeral, and the Yongsan Coalition has a number of demands. Some of those were met. Some of those, whether or not they were met, is very, very vague. But also another thing that has a lot to do with this agreement, this compromise, is that the Seoul mayor, the current mayor of Seoul, Oh Se-hoon, is trying to campaign for his re-election, which is going to be in June. The general election is going to be held in June. He's campaigning for re-election, and by trying to do something like that's going to be called the solution of the solving the Yongsan Massacre, is something that he's doing in order to, better his standing with the public, create a good image for himself in order to do this. So that's why a big reason why this agreement happened. Almost all the activists here in almost all the activists and the people and the evictees, including the family members of those who were killed in the Yongsan Massacre, everyone involved here in the Yongsan struggle, have emphasized that the demands have not been met concretely. They have not been fully met, so the struggle is not over. Right now it is beginning. The real struggle is beginning, and we still need people's help here in Yongsan in order to continue this struggle, because it's going to be very, very difficult to continue now that this agreement, this compromise has been made. And the part of the agreement was also to end the so-called, what the government calls the illegal occupation of the Namildang building and this Leia Candlelight Media Center here. So that was part of the agreement. It's also very vague as to whether or not the Candlelight Media Center was included in that agreement in order to stop the occupation and the use of this property in order to have the Candlelight Media Center and a meeting place for activists, social activists here. These places are expected to be basically shut down by police and private militias hired by construction companies around the 25th of January. So, that's just 19 days away, and we're really hoping that a lot of people show up in solidarity and help us out. The Yongsan Massacre has not been solved. This issue is still, we're still struggling in order to solve this issue. There is still 3,000 papers of an investigation that was carried out by the prosecuting and investigating police department, and they have still not released the 3,000 pages of the 10,000-page document of investigation of the Yongsan Massacre. So it's a big issue. And everybody here has said that, the struggle is not over, and it is not over yet. Thanks for listening. If you want to get more information about what's going on with the Yongsan struggle, check out more stuff on this Korea Indie Media YouTube channel, or just go to Korea Indie Media and you can find some information on there. Thanks a lot. Bye.